Good afternoon. Welcome to the weekly analysis. Before I get started, I wanted to thank everyone for their condolences. I appreciate it greatly. Um, okay, I have added all the um, assets that were listed under my posts. And I think the only other one that I added was NAS. And then that was it. So let's get started. So first thing I always do is I look and see the bigger picture to see where I'm going, right? So if we're in bearish structure and I marked up this supply zone, which is this is really the last up candle before the down move, but that's a big zone. So I'm marking up this last up candle before the down move. Okay. So with that being said, we know that we're pushing up to this zone, specifically to this high first. Okay. So now that I know that, I then start to look for the internal structure. So we have here, price broke structure here. So we have price here. We pulled back, price broke structure here. So, and then we have this push up. So this is my last swing structural low. All right. So I've already marked that up because I've tried to record this a couple of times already. Um, so this is my structural swing low, and this is my swing high. And as you can see, price is pulling back down to this zone. So if we look at the weekly, this was the weekly demand zone, right? So price has already tapped into here. But when I look at structure going down to the zone, oh, this was a zone. All right. But when I look at structure in the zone, I can see that this was a break of structure. I can see that this is my swing high and this is my current swing low, right? So now let's go to the daily. Based on the daily, price came into the zone. It has created a level of support. Okay. So that's our level of support. Price is still in the middle, but if I look at the level of support and I go down to the next time frame, 4-hour, my current internal structure is here. This is my internal swing high, and this is my internal swing low. Okay. Now I'm just going to go down to the 1-hour. This is still the structure for me, because price did not close until right here. Price did not close this below this low until right here. So this is my swing high and this is my swing low. So now that price is in a current demand zone, I've marked up my internal swing high and swing low. So now I am going to wait. So let's just say if price wants to keep selling, let's look at the 4-hour, because price came here, pulled back. So price could keep selling. It has not broken this high yet, closed above this high yet, and it has not closed below this low yet. So this internal low, this was the external low. Okay. So it hasn't closed below. So For me, I would wait for price to either break and close above this high, look for a demand zone to then buy it up to this high, or if you want to hold on to it, it might buy up to this supply zone. If it's going to pull back to a 78 or 88, it could pull back to this supply zone. Okay. So, and if I fib that move, that's a little past our 88. And then you can possibly get another sell if price breaks above the high, the swing high. Okay. If price has, because we're in this bearish structure, price has already pulled back to a premium zone. So price could, and then start selling, right? If that's the case, then you want to look for a pullback to continue selling. So always identify your structure, start from the higher time frame, and then go down to your 4-hour or 1-hour. 15-minute or anything lower than that is just for your entries only. Do not try to base your structure off of the 15-minute. Okay, so again, there's a strong level of support here. So if price breaks through, then you might get a pullback as resistance and a continuation of a sell. Because if I go to my higher time frame, my true demand zone, and this is on the daily, right? So my true demand zone is somewhere here, somewhere in between here and the swing low. Remember, this is our swing low. And of course, as you go down in time frame, you might find a demand zone that's closer to the swing or the edge, trade the edges. So you would just wait for price to get into this zone. Then again, look for the shift in structure and then look for your buy. And of course, this is not the zone. It's probably going to come further down, but then you would look for your buy once you get the shift and then take it up to. This is definitely a swing trade. How many pips is that? 1,700 pips. 1,766 pips to be exact. So definitely wait for price to show you what it wants to do before you hop in the trade. All right, so that's what I see for GBP AUD. Now, if you're trying to find a trade to get into, yeah, I would do it. This was the last push up. It pulled back, so price could be going up some more. If I'm looking at the structure, let me just do this. So price pushed up, pulled back, and then shifted structure again. So, oops, thing. So price shifted structure here. So I would immediately mark up my demand zone. And my demand zone for me would be right here. So if you're trying to trade, and and your that's 98, maybe you'll get 100 pips if it sweeps the high or even breaks above the high. And then I would definitely put my swing low here below this low. You can put it below this low if you want. That's about 30 pips. Below this low is about 48, 50 pips. So that is up to you. If you want to narrow it down, go down to the 15-minute. And this would be the demand zone. So that would means I would bring this down just a little to that zone. And you would at least you would likely get 100 pips from out of here. Okay, so this would be the zone that I would look to buy from. One, price came here, and then price pushed up, pulled back, and gave this structure here. Price pulled back. If it was going to keep going, it would have pulled back into this internal structure here. And let me make it clear. So you had this structure here, and then you had this structure here, and then you had price to break, pull back, break, put it there, and then you had a shift. If it was going to continue selling, it would have come back to this supply zone and then sold. But it shifted structure, pull back. So once it shifts structure, you mark up your demand zone. Wait for price to pull back to that zone and then take it to the high. Okay. Price is still within this swing and this swing. So within this range. So price, that's why I say take it up to this high and see what the market gives you after that. Okay. So that's currently what I see for GBP AUD. All right. Let's look at GJ. All right. First thing I'm going to do is look at the structure. Same thing. We're in bearish structure. Looking for price to pull back to a premium zone. If I fibbed my move, okay. Fib my move. So I'm definitely looking for price to come back to 78 or 88. However, if I look at the structure going down, right? We have this move down, this correction, and this move down. All right. So based on this current move here, we have tapped into a supply zone. I think we tapped into it. Let's see. Oh, no, we haven't tapped into it yet. Okay. So based on structure, I'm looking for price to at least tap into the zone and then give me some kind of pullback, whether it's to the 78 or 88 of this structure, because there is a demand zone down here, right here. Okay. And then possibly keep going or shift structure. Okay. Or shift structure pull back, and then sell some more. One of the two. All right, so looking at how to get to the zone. So right now, this is our current high. Price has swept that high. If I go down to my daily, or even just looking at this is the last structure going up. So if I look at my daily, that's my last structure going up. Okay. So now I look at the internal structure, and I had a high here, a pullback, a break, a pullback. Price did not break till over here. So all this move is the structure. So with that being said, this is my internal swing low. And then my internal swing high. All right. Okay. So now price would have to break below here before I look for a sell to the downside, or at least to this next demand zone. All right. So let's go to the 4-hour. And it's looking like, I think there was a 1-hour structure that it shifted. Yeah. Okay. So it shifted this 1-hour structure. Micro structure shift. Once you got this shift, marked up the supply zone. Mark up the supply zone, which price tapped and sold. Okay. So now we have this break of structure. So now we have this high swing high here. And this is the current swing low. All right. So if price is tapping to this demand zone, it's already sold through it. I would look at the next zone for price to come to would be this key level here. Okay. Resistance, 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 resistance. Price broke through. I would be looking for it to retest this zone here. Okay. So once price got here, so price is either going, now that it has broken structure again, it's either going to give you a pullback to now here's a little key level here, or I'm just going to put it right here. Support, 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 support. So price could pull back to this zone here. Where would I like for it to come back to? Would be the supply zone. That would be a better place. But you can see that the market has created a strong key level. So I would set an alert here at this zone, at the bottom of this zone, or set an alert at the bottom of this zone. This is probably where price will at least bounce back up to here. That's about 65, 70 pips. Okay. So, with that being said, this is, again, the swing high, current swing high. This broke structure here. This is the current swing low. I don't care nothing about, I mean, not, let me not say that. Not that I don't care about it, but this is my swing high. No one's going to tell me that this is the swing high. Okay. Um, so that's my swing high. This is my swing low. This is my breakup structure. The price has already tapped into this supply. Price has already tapped into this supply. Once this broke, it pulled back into this supply. So now we have this supply. So I would be looking for price to pull back into this supply and continue selling. Or price is going to pull back to probably a 50% 618 zone, which this supply zone falls in 50% 618 to possibly continue selling. Okay. So I don't need that to tell me that. All right. So that's what I see for GJ. I would definitely be waiting for it to pull back here and either shift structure to sell down to this zone, or at least pull back to this supply zone, shift, and then sell back down to the zone. Of course, if price does the opposite, so price is currently in a demand zone. If I go to the 5-minute, this is 5-minute internal, but I would think price, I would be looking for price to pull here and then sell. So let me rephrase that. Yeah. So because I don't trade imbalances, price could pull back into this imbalance and start selling. So for those who trade imbalance, then I would say trade accordingly. All right, GBP NZD. Let's look at the big picture. Let's look at our structure. Okay, that's our current structure. So we're in this leg of structure. Okay. So we're in this leg of structure. So I'm just going to put the 78 and the 88 here, just so I can see where we are. Okay. So we are close to the 88. We have a weekly break of structure here, which makes this my swing low. And I'm not going to mark the swing high. If you know what it is. Okay. So with that being said, my demand zone, here we go. My demand zone is here. All right. So if I go down in time frame, I can narrow that zone down. There's a demand zone here. There's a little demand zone right here. Let's go to the 4-hour. There is this demand zone here. All right. Oops, stay on the page. Okay, now if I go down in more time on the 4-hour, I have my demand zone here. Okay. So this is where I would be looking. Let's see if I go to the 1-hour. See if anything stands out. Nope. Nope. Okay. And you can go to the 15-minute. There may be one on the 15-minute, but I would definitely be setting an alert at this zone to look for a shift in structure to then start buying up to this swing high. So we have, or up to this 78. So we have this break of structure, right? We had this break of structure. Price pulled back into this structure and then bought up. So it's up to you if you want to trade it down. I say go for it. This was the market structure shift. This is the supply zone. So price can come up here and sell some more. That's what I would look for. If you're trying to buy it up, I would say the zone do it. You have an impulse move, so maybe price will pull back to the zone and at least buy up to that's about 200 pips. Sorry, that's about 200 pips. So you can buy it up to I would say based on my price action, you can buy it up to this zone here, or let's just take the lowest point up to here. Okay. And then make a decision on the next move. Okay. That's what I see for GBP NZD. GBP USD. Always look at the higher time frame. Look at the structure. We can see that price went here, 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 here. I think price closed below here, then it came here, and then here. So right now, this is your swing high, and this is your swing low. All right, so based on this swing, let's look at the structure. Boom, 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 and boom. Okay, you're currently in this structure. So, and price is pulling back, has pulled back. Price has shifted structure here. Pull back and broke structure again. Broke this low. Oops. And broke this low. Okay, so we have this break here. So price can do what? Pull back to any of these supply zones. and then start selling again. Or break past this high, pull back, and then start buying. So let's look at the daily. Daily zone. All right, so let's look at the daily structure going down. We have here, 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 and here. So I'm also going to mark up this current supply zone, since this is the leg of structure that we're in. Price has tapped this zone. Let's go to the 4-hour. On the 4-hour, price tapped into the zone. Here's my 4-hour structure. If I can get it. You got the break here. You got your swing low here. And of course, your swing high. So if price is pulling back and breaks this structure, then this is the correct POI. You look for the supply zone to sell down to this low. Okay. So if price is going to shift structure and you look for, you mark up your supply zone, then we're talking approximately 382 pips. If price does not close or shift structure, price could pull back, push back up to this zone before shifting structure, because price is still in this internal bullish structure. So you have to wait for price to show you what it wants to do before you get in the trade. Now, if you want to take a chance on getting in a buy, here's your 4-hour demand zone. You can either set your limit or wait for price to get there, look for a shift in structure, and then take your buy up to this high, or you can trail it to high you want to take it. All right. So, oh, let me leave that there. All right, so that's what I see for GBP USD. It's currently in a bear structure zone, supply zone. So I would definitely trade with caution. NASDAQ. We already know that we're at or was at a high. This was the high. This was the low. Now let's go to the daily. So this was our high. This was our break of structure. This was our low. Okay. Price pulled back. Shifted some structure. Oh, no, it didn't. Hold on. This was the low. Price broke here. So that made this the high. Price came, wicked, closed above, and then pulled back. So let's go to the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, you have this structure here. Here, 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 and here. And this would have been a 4-hour market structure. Oops, 4-hour market structure shift. So what do you do once you have a break of structure or a market structure shift? You want to mark up your supply and or demand zone. So I would be looking for price to come back to this zone to possibly buy. That's what I would be looking for. More than enough. Okay. That's what I see for NASDAQ. US 30. US 30. We're actually, this is the swing high. This is the swing low. And we had a break of structure. Price closed above this high. All right, let's go to the daily. Break of structure. Swing low. All right. All right. So now this is our current demand zone, right? Where I have our daily demand zone. So if I want to narrow that down, it looks like all of this has been mitigated, maybe to this one. I would mark up that 4 hour. Of course, shoot. Of course, if I'm looking at the current structure, the internal structure, I should say, this is the current structure. Here, here, and here. So that means price would have to break here, look for a pullback to sell down to here. Until then, price could pull back to one of these demand zones, either here or here, and then continue buying up. Okay. So looking for sales, that I'm not going to, yeah, you're on your own with that one, okay? You're on your own. And this already happened, so I definitely would not be trying to, the only structure I see is on the 15-minute. This was the shift in structure here at this, at this candle here. Price already, oh, wait a minute, hold on. There might have been a little. Yeah, so price broke here. So that made this the swing low. And then price broke here, pulled back into this crazy demand zone, supply zone, I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Okay. This is looking like this was the shift in structure. This is still my zone though, but there was structure going up, looked like it shifted. Once it shifted, if you remember, once you get a break of structure or a market structure shift, mark up your supply or demand zone. This was the supply zone. So then price tapped into that zone and dropped a lot. I mean, a lot. So this is pulling back. Now, how far it's going to pull back, I don't know, so I wouldn't trade it. I definitely wouldn't trade it. I'm already not going to trade it until it gets to my zone. So maybe it'll pull back to this zone and then start selling. If you're going to look for the sell, this is where I would be looking for a shift in structure. Okay. And last but not least, we have gold. We already know that gold is at a strong key level. Okay. And if we go to the daily, based on the daily, there was a market structure shift here. Oops. Based on the daily, there was a market structure shift here. Now, it all depends on if this market structure shift is going to be respected. Price has pulled back into, let's fib it. Price has pulled back to the 78, the 88. We got a rejection on the 88. But if we look at structure, you have this break of structure. You have this daily swing low. And this daily swing high. Okay. So now let's go down to the 4-hour. Based on the 4-hour, you're still in this structure here. I want to make this a bright. Okay. Okay, so you're still in this structure here. I don't know if that helped, but maybe not. Hold on. Because I will make it pink. No, don't want pink. I'll keep it blue. Okay. So you're currently in this structure here. Price, the lowest point is, wait a minute. The lowest point was here. Price came up, pulled back. The lowest point was there, and then up here. Price has swept this low, but it has not closed below this low. Okay. So unless you get a swing, pull back, at least take it down to this low because we're in this structure. All right. And from here, it could start pushing up some more. So let's go to the 1-hour. So we're currently in this 1-hour supply zone here. Price could push up into here and then shift this low right here. Again, if that happens, or if you want to take a chance, it's not very much confirmation. But you could sell from here. At least to the low. Okay. One zone at a time. Or if you want to hold fast, you can take it to this little demand here. Okay. And that is all I have for gold. If there are any questions, please drop them in the chat. And that concludes today's weekly analysis. Thanks.